Imagine getting handed, like, a $20 ticket for jaywalking, right?
Okay, yeah.
But while the officer is writing it up, an actual alien spaceship just crashes into the skyscraper right across the street.
Oh my gosh.
And the officer doesn't even look up. He just, hands you the citation and tells you to be more careful.
Right, like nothing even happened.
Exactly. And that level of cognitive dissonance, where you're punishing the pedestrian but completely ignoring the intergalactic invasion, that is exactly what is tearing the Daredevil fan base apart right now.
It really is. It's wild to watch.
It is. So welcome to the Deep Dive, everyone. We are so glad you're here. Today, our mission is to unpack this really fascinating primary source. It's a massive, highly active Reddit discussion thread from the Daredevil community.
And they are really going at it.
Oh, they are dissecting everything. Specifically, they're looking at Season 2, Episode 7 of Daredevil, Born Again.
Right, the new one.
Yeah, the episode is titled The Hateful Darkness. It was written by Heather Belson, directed by Ian B. McDonald, and it literally just dropped a few days ago, on April 28th, 2026.
So it's super fresh. People are still processing it.
Exactly. And what we're really unpacking here is, well, it's a massive storytelling collision. We want to explore for you how a gritty, street-level narrative kind of struggles to survive when it's forced into this sprawling, cosmic cinematic universe.
Yeah, and how viewers process these really tragic character choices, and what happens when the seams of television production start to, show.
Yeah, when the illusion breaks.
Totally, because it is a remarkable cross-section of audience reaction. When you read through this thread, you're essentially looking at a real-time stress test of modern franchise storytelling.
A stress test is the perfect way to put it.
Right, and the tension starts immediately with the overarching conflict of the season. The thread kicks off by analyzing those opening courtroom statements.
Oh, right, between Kirsten and Hochberg.
Exactly. The defense attorney and the prosecutor, they are engaged in this fierce legal debate over the definition of a vigilante under that newly introduced Safe Streets Act.
Yeah, and I actually found myself totally nodding along with this one user, traffic guy, who kind of anchors this entire debate in the thread.
Oh yeah, Traffic Guy makes some really solid points.
They really do. They point out how fundamentally broken the logic of this Safe Streets Act feels now that Daredevil is, like, explicitly woven into the broader Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Right, because it didn't used to be like that.
No. In the older seasons, the massive alien invasion of New York was just vaguely referred to as the incident.
Yeah, they kept their heads down.
Exactly. But now, the writers are actively dropping major universe lore into the script left and right. We had the alien scrolls mentioned in Season 1.
Right.
Saw Mayor Fisk operating over the Hawkeye series. Matt Murdock was literally the lawyer for Spider-Man and Happy Hogan.
Yeah, the connections are everywhere now.
And the lieutenant governor is name-dropping CIA Director Val. We even know characters like Frank and Sheila are going to show up in the upcoming Brand New Day storyline.
So the isolation is just gone.
Surely gone.
The show is operating in a fully integrated world. And the friction that Traffic Guy and others are pointing out is the glaring hypocrisy here.
Right.
You're spending hours in a New York courtroom debating the morality of heroes versus vigilantes when New York is literally the exact state that birthed Steve Rogers and Tony Stark.
Yes, it feels like trying to play a high-stakes, incredibly serious game of poker, but you're sitting at a table where someone else is just aggressively playing a chaotic game of Monopoly.
That is exactly what it feels like.
You have these lawyers agonizing over whether a blind guy in a devil suit is a societal menace, while completely omitting the fact that Iron Man and the Spider Vigilante literally undid the blip.
Right, they brought half the universe back.
They stopped a purple alien from wiping out half of all life. Avengers Tower is physically in their skyline.
Yeah.
Why is nobody in this courtroom just pointing out the window and saying, what about the people who blow up entire city blocks to save the world?
It's a huge elephant in the room.
Yeah.
And that cognitive dissonance is jarring. But if we look at the counter-arguments presented in the thread...
Oh yeah, the pushback.
Right, from users like Riddleman and Agent Cooper 86, they actually present a pretty compelling in-universe legal framework.
Okay, I'm listening.
So Riddleman clarifies that the Avengers, in the eyes of the law, are registered government agents.
Oh, right, the accords and all that.
Exactly. It goes beyond just having the right paperwork, though. It's a matter of jurisdiction and scale. Agent Cooper 86 elaborates on this, drawing a distinct legal and moral boundary.
Meaning what, exactly?
Meaning there is a massive difference between a federally sanctioned Avenger neutralizing an intergalactic threat, and a street-level character like,
Hector.
Oh, Hector, yeah, right, who is just a neighborhood guy aggressively enforcing his own neighborhood watch by beating people up with a baseball bat.
So wait, the argument is that a mandate to fight Thanos doesn't give a regular citizen the right to just assault muggers in an alley.
Precisely. And Agent Cooper 86 dives into the psychology of someone like Mayor Fisk pushing this legislation. From Fisk's perspective, everyone who puts on a mask and picks up a weapon thinks they are Tony Stark.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, they think they have a divine mandate. But they aren't Iron Man. Iron Man had global existential oversight. A street-level vigilante is, legally speaking, just a violent, unregulated citizen bypassing the justice system.
Wow.
So Fisk is basically using the law to say, you aren't a god, you're just a guy with a stick causing property damage.
Okay, that actually does make the legal framework slightly more digestible. It's a massive ego trip for Fisk. But stepping back for you, the listener, this really highlights such a fascinating challenge with media consumption today. When you build a cinematic universe, this enormous maintaining logical consistency requires the audience to do a lot of mental gymnastics.
It really does. You have to work for it.
You do. You want the gritty, street-level legal drama, but you just can't erase the fact that literal gods fought in the exact same zip code. The suspension of disbelief is just stretched to its absolute limit.
And when that suspension of disbelief snaps, the audience's reaction shifts dramatically.
Oh, absolutely.
We see this transition so clearly as the thread moves from the grand macro-level legal debates down to the micro-level stakes of the episode.
Yeah, because while the Avengers might be dealing with cosmic fallout, the characters in Daredevil are dealing with raw, cold-blooded murder in dark alleys.
Right. The stakes shrink from the fate of the universe down to the survival of a single family.
Which brings us to Daniel's death.
Yeah.
Because honestly, reading through the reactions to him being killed by the hitman Buck,
Yeah, that was intense.
I was highly skeptical of the show's writing here. I mean, you have users like Dazzling Principal mourning the character, but you also have massive frustration.
Well, a lot of people were really angry about it.
Yeah. User CamelJockey919 calls it quite stupid that Daniel went to confront Buck without a weapon. And I kind of have to agree with him. It felt like lazy screenwriting to me.
How so?
Well, if you know a highly competent killer is coming for you, why not just grab your ally BB, grab your family, and get on a bus out of New York? Walking into a death trap unarmed just feels like the writers needed a tragic body count for the end of the episode.
Right, like they forced the character to make a terrible decision just for the drama.
Exactly.
That is a very common reaction when a beloved character dies seemingly unnecessarily. But there's this user, Battery Life Abysmal.
Great username, by the way.
Amazing username. They provide this brilliant synthesis of Daniel's psychology that reframes the entire sequence.
Really? What do they say?
They theorize that Daniel, understanding the grim reality of his world, realized that outrunning a professional like Buck was basically a statistical impossibility.
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah.
Buck is terrifying.
Right. Buck wasn't just a standard thug, he was relentless. Furthermore, Buck had explicitly threatened Daniel's family. So in Daniel's mind, running only delayed the inevitable and kept his family right in the crosshairs.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So as long as BB was safe and hiding, Daniel made a calculated sacrifice. He didn't go there to fight. He went there to give Buck the body he was hired to produce, thereby permanently severing the trail and keeping his family safe.
Wait, that completely flips the scene.
Doesn't it?
Yeah. It wasn't stupidity or bad writing at all. It was
Yeah.
this bleak, calculated surrender. He knew Buck wouldn't stop until someone was dead, so he just offered himself up to close the contract.
Exactly.
That is incredibly dark, but it makes the narrative choice so much more tragic and, I don't know, grounded.
It definitely grounds the narrative in street-level consequences, and it speaks volumes about how terrifying Buck is as a villain. The community has immense praise for the actor playing him.
Oh, the praise is everywhere. User Mental Lettuce 268 compared Buck's cold, piercing, almost quiet screen presence to a young Al Pacino in The Godfather.
That is a massive compliment.
It really is, and that explains why user Stick Devil is practically begging for the Punisher to show up and deal with Buck.
Oh, they want blood.
They absolutely do. When a villain operates with that kind of quiet, lethal competence, the audience doesn't want to see them go to trial. They want ultimate, definitive retribution.
For sure.
But this brings up a wild quirk in audience psychology, right? The fans deeply respect Buck as a terrifying villain, but they absolutely loathe Daniel's ally, BB.
Oh, the sheer vitriol directed at this character is intense.
It's crazy. User Saucy Pickle 8008 outright calls BB the real villain of the season.
Yeah, and the core of their argument is that BB's actions, or really, her lack thereof, got her best friend tortured to death and his family destroyed, all for the sake of a, quote, shitty news show.
Ouch. And it's the incompetence that makes them so angry. They point out she couldn't even call someone to help him, even though Daniel gave her his phone.
Right, she had a lifeline and didn't use it.
Exactly. This led user Minimize Bebop to literally call Daniel a simp, arguing that he threw his life away for someone who didn't even deserve it.
People do not hold back on Reddit.
They do not. And user Reflection Itchy 20701 labels BB a nothing burger character, stating that it feels like the writers don't even know what her purpose is anymore. They said they'd much rather spend screen time watching Kirsten prepare Karen's defense.
Which is saying something. But this contrast between Buck and Baby reveals a really fascinating mechanism of how we consume stories.
Yeah.
As an audience, we will almost always prefer a highly competent, terrifying villain over a well-meaning but incompetent or deceptive ally.
That makes perfect sense, actually. Because a villain who is good at their job creates tension. You know, they drive the plot forward, they give the hero something to actually overcome.
Right.
But an ally who gets people killed because they make foolish decisions,
Yeah.
that doesn't feel like a natural obstacle. It feels like a betrayal by the writer.
Exactly. We can forgive evil in a fictional universe much easier than we can forgive incompetence.
Because incompetence breaks our immersion. It reminds us that we're watching a script designed to create drama.
Yes, and that break in immersion is the critical turning point for the audience. When viewers lose faith in the story's internal logic, when they feel characters are acting illogically just to service the plot, they stop engaging with the narrative on an emotional level.
They just detach.
They detach, and when they detach, their viewing habits shift entirely. They stop watching the story, and they start hunting for the seams of the production.
Which is exactly what we see happening in the third major theme of this thread. The fans put on their detective hats and started hyper-analyzing all the background details.
Oh, they caught so much.
They did, and they actually uncovered some incredible lore, along with some really glaring production flaws.
Let's start with the lore they discovered, because this is wild. Specifically, the situation with the ring.
Right.
Earlier in the season, Fisk gave his handler, Glenn, a small object. The prevailing theory among fans, including user SurvivorFan128, was that it was a ring. Potentially Vanessa's ring.
That's what I thought it was.
Me too. But user Miss Misery 213 completely dismantled that theory with a phenomenal catch. It wasn't a ring at all, it was an earring.
An earring. Because the character Heather had stolen the other one when she was present after the funeral.
Exactly.
I mean, catching a detail that small requires an insane level of hyperfixation.
It really does. But that fixation also led to a massive narrative realization buried deep in this episode. User Lopsided University 30 started connecting the dots regarding what Heather actually knows.
Okay.
They realized that Heather knows Karen killed Wesley.
But Karen killed Wesley seasons ago, and that was, like, the perfect crime. There were no witnesses.
Exactly the point. As the thread points out, that crime was never officially filed anywhere. Local law enforcement, the FBI, literally nobody has that on record.
So how could Heather possibly know?
Well, user Miss Misery 213 theorizes that because Heather casually mentioned the mayor's office possessing incredibly detailed files, Fisk is likely using his position as mayor to compile a shadow database.
Oh my gosh, that is terrifying.
Right.
Fisk isn't just using the police force, he is engaging in total information warfare. He's building a deep state repository of secrets that entirely bypasses the actual government.
It really shows how dangerous he is behind a desk.
It does. But, you know, even as the fans are piecing together this brilliant, terrifying background lore, they are simultaneously tearing the show apart for its technical execution.
Yeah, the overarching sentiment regarding the pacing of the season is heavily critical.
Very.
User the Martin12 states that Daredevil currently feels like a side character in his own show.
That's right.
And user Brita Suave captures the mechanical frustration perfectly. They argue that the show isn't necessarily terrible, but there's zero payoff for the buildup. They describe the entire season as feeling like one giant trailer for next season.
Calling an entire season of television one giant trailer is a brutal critique. But I kind of understand the fatigue. User Who Red Likes 27 echoes this, saying events don't flow logically, things just kind of happen with incredibly strange pacing.
Yeah.
And when pacing drags, the audience becomes hyper-aware of the technical choices. Which brings us to my absolute favorite observation in the entire discussion thread.
Oh, the critique of the courtroom music.
Yes. User Optimal Plate 4769 essentially wrote a dissertation on how unbearable the background music was during the courtroom scene.
They went deep.
They were so annoyed that they actually transcribed the score phonetically. I have it here.
Yeah.
They typed out bum 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 www bum bum bib dot bum. That is amazing. It's such a hilarious visual. I know, right? But it highlights a very real, very common filmmaking flaw. The user followed up their transcription by observing that the directors seemed terrified of letting a shot linger or allowing a quiet moment to breathe.
Right. They feel compelled to force this overbearing dramatic music over every single second of dialogue.
Yeah, and it reminds me of sitting in a waiting room at a doctor's office. You know, if you were there for a routine checkup and you're just reading a magazine, you don't even notice the analog clock on the wall. But if you are waiting for incredibly serious test results and the doctor is 20 minutes late, the room feels agonizingly slow.
And suddenly that clock is the loudest thing in the world.
Exactly. Suddenly the ticking of that wall clock sounds like someone hitting an anvil with a sledgehammer. Tick, tick, tick.
Right.
When a show's plot is dragging and failing to hold the audience's emotional attention, viewers suddenly notice the mechanics. They notice the shot lengths. They notice the intrusive background music. That BUM becomes the only thing they can focus on because the script isn't providing any organic tension.
That analogy perfectly captures the mechanism at play. The music is no longer supporting the emotional subtext of the scene. It is desperately trying to manufacture tension that the writing has just failed to deliver natively.
Exactly. So before we conclude, the thread did highlight a few other rapid-fire details that paint a full picture of the audience's current mindset.
Yeah, we had a minor wave of mourning from users like Red4 and ASpent42,000 over the death of a character they dubbed Baby Soprano.
Oh, also known as Lil Tony.
Right, who was a brief but memorable street-level casualty in this episode.
Yeah, poor Lil Tony.
It demonstrates that fans still latch on to the distinct, gritty character actors that populate this universe, even if their screen time is minimal.
For sure.
We also had user Alternative Device 71 expressing sheer bewilderment over Matt Murdock's styling this season, plainly asking what on earth happened to his hair.
You can always count on a fandom to pivot from deep state political theory to hair critiques in the span of 2 comments.
Well, wait.
And finally, users SD0007 expressed a massive sigh of relief that there's only 1 episode left until Fisk is potentially removed from power.
That relief really encapsulates the exhaustion some viewers are experiencing with this current arc. They are ready for a resolution.
They really are. So bringing this all together for you, what does this massive online debate tell us about the state of this show?
It's a lot to process.
It is. If we step back, this single episode of Daredevil, Born Again, serves as a perfect microcosm of the franchise's current identity crisis. On one side, you have the suffocating burden of the MCU world building, writers trying to pass local street-level legislation in a world where aliens exist and literal gods have crashed into the skyline.
Right, the macro stuff.
Yeah. And on the other side, you have the dark, fatal character choices, like Daniel offering himself up to a cold-blooded killer while the audience directs all their hatred at the incompetence of his ally.
And acting as the connective tissue between those 2 extremes is a fiercely intelligent fan base.
Seriously intelligent.
They are simultaneously capable of hunting down brilliant, subtle Easter eggs about stolen earrings and shadow databases, while relentlessly holding the showrunners accountable for bizarre pacing and manipulative musical scores.
It is a chaotic, fascinating way to consume television. But as we wrap up this deep dive, we want to leave you with a final thought to mull over. Something that bridges the gap between the cosmic legal debates and the gritty reality of Mayor Fisk's power.
Yeah, consider the mechanisms we just discussed. The fans correctly deduced that Fisk is using his mayoral authority to compile secret, off-the-books files on everyone, bypassing traditional law enforcement.
Right.
We also discussed how the Avengers currently operate as legally registered government agents, protecting them from the Safe Streets Act. But what happens if a brilliant, manipulative tactician like Fisk manages to climb even higher in the political system?
What?
If he acquires all the deep state secrets, and he secures the highest levels of political power, could he eventually weaponize those very same laws? Could Fisk use a piece of legislation like the Safe Streets Act to legally reclassify the Avengers themselves as rogue vigilantes?
That is a chilling prospect. Using the mundane machinery of local bureaucracy to ground the cosmic heroes, it proves just how dangerous these street-level villains can truly be if they're given enough time to weaponize the system.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive. Keep looking closely at the details, keep questioning the mechanics of the media you consume, and remember that when the story stops making sense, it's usually time to start looking at the seams. We'll catch you next time.